Oui, bon. Bom, 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 bom.
Okay. Okay, let me have a level.
Would you like something more useful?
More levelable.
Than just continuing on with what you were doing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that'll do fine.
Colin had a problem and a microphone to spare. Thomas took it up and so the podcast went to air. For weeks and months they trolled through every single DVD. They've unwrapped all the ones they can and now they're cellulose free. Now they're cellulose free.
Hello, dear listener, and welcome to Cellulose Free. My name is Colin, and with me, as always, is my fellow film watcher, compadre and son, Thomas.
Hi, hello.
What have you been up to?
I finally managed to get a walk in yesterday.
Huzzah!
Yeah, when across to Eastlands, and I was like, which way specifically do I want to go from here? Filled up my drink bottle at Kangaroo Bay, as per the usual. Filled a second drink bottle at Kangaroo Bay. Had a feeling I might want it. And then I wandered up Rosny Hill.
Right.
Yeah. The the map for the Lookout track.
Yeah.
Was like, so you continue this way for a bit, and then there's a turn off, and it's basically straight up the hill. It's not straight up the hill, and thank goodness it's not straight up the hill towards the Lookout, because steep bit of terrain there.
Yeah, there used to be a track that went straight up the hill.
Yeah, it wiggles a bit more now.
Yes.
So I went up there, and then I came down again.
Did you admire the Chinese icebreaker?
No, I wasn't really paying that much attention.
Hang on,
I
so
got
you
to
went
look
up
out,
the lookout,
and I
and
looked
you didn't
out.
look out.
I did look out.
Right.
Was I paying attention?
Obviously not.
No.
There was the Australian icebreaker right next to it, so we had two icebreakers in, and ours was bigger than the Chinese one.
So I come back down again, and I'm wandering up Montague Bay Road, and I'm like, oh, that used to be a vacant lot with a fence across the front of it, and now it's a big block of concrete with a house at one end. And that used to be a corner store, and now it's an accountant.
Right.
Well, it was a corner store, and then it was, I want to say, never went in there, but I want to say it was a space museum for a couple of years. Which I don't think panned out. No.
It has struggled, that corner block, to pan out with anything.
Well, right now, it's an accountant.
Right.
And
was the name familiar?
Services. The Financial Services Tasmania.
No, as in the person whose business it is.
No.
I don't know whether it is still. There used to be a member of the council.
Right.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you. Anyway, continued up Montague Bay Road, and I was like, well, I eventually want to cross the East Derwent Highway. And there's a very lovely path at the end of Montague Bay Road. But you know what, let's go down that grassy bit between the church and the residential bits. And, completely forgetting that actually it's a very treacherous bit of terrain, to be honest.
Certainly if it hasn't been slashed for...
No. There's sort of trees angled over it, and it's and ends with stairs.
Yes. Of questionable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was an adventure.
That was a choice.
So crossed the Tasman Highway. Did not cross the East Derwent Highway. Somewhat difficult to cross the East Derwent Highway from south of the Tasman Highway.
Yes.
Crossed the Tasman Highway, and I'm like, I'll go up along the Gordon's Hill Reserve and So I did that, and eventually I ended up on Gordon's Hill Road, and by the time I'd gotten back towards Eastlands, I was basically out of water, so I bussed home.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. And boy, is my body making me pay for it.
Oh, dear. Well, it's a beginning again,
Yeah.
which is good. Yeah.
And then last night, having done all of that, I watched the first half of the latest season of One Piece, and that was the live action.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not the anime.
And what do you think?
It's alright.
Yeah.
I'm having a reasonable time.
Yep.
And that's all I can ask for from an evening's entertainment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then in a couple of days it'll be the 1st of May, and apparently it's supposed to get up to 25 degrees.
Yes.
So,
I intend to use that day as my, at least covering May as my swim.
yeah.
Whether there are any days after that I'll take advantage of.
False autumn is not supposed to run this deeply or this strongly.
Well, it did take a real deep plunge into wintry autumn for a week. And then, yeah, it's balmy again. I went for a swim 3 times since last podcast, 4 times.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple of those were very much a case of dive in and think, right, I'm heading straight back out. And then I think, no, hang on, give it 30 seconds. And I gave it 30 seconds and, okay, I'm going to do a proper swim. And I did. So.
And then today, in the middle of all that, it's like, we're going to give you a 14-degree day and you're going to like it.
So I got 20,000 steps in today instead.
Yeah. Anything else you've been up to this week?
Yesterday. Okay, let's narrow it down. One story here. I walked into town, so over the bridge, to see my psychologist, and listening to podcasts, except for over the bridge. I take my headphones off for that, in case there's a bike behind me.
I leave my headphones on, but I don't listen to anything. It's mostly to get rid of the wind noise.
Yes. Yep. And as I'm reaching Salamanca, I'm listening to this podcast that was telling a story of a documentary team who were making a short documentary of this family of beekeepers. So a mum and dad and a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old who travel quite extensively, moving their hives to help pollinate farms and to make honey. And, these filmmakers had finished filming for the day, but they kept their audio recorder running whilst the dad was finishing up with this particular hive. And he got bitten again. Like, it's the nature of keeping beehives that you're no doubt going to get bitten by or stung by a bee. Yeah. I choose stung from here on in because it isn't bitten.
Wrong end of the bee.
Yes, and not good for the bee when they do sting. Yeah, so he got stung because he hadn't quite put his glove on properly or something. And, he go, ooh. And then the 6-year-old went up to the dad and said, look, you're always getting stung. And mum gets stung. And my brother gets stung. This 4-year-old is notorious for getting stung because he's just, rambunctious and running around. And he's been stung many times. But the 6-year-old says, I've never been stung. Dad, I think I want to get stung. And so this dad was stuck in this sort of conundrum of understanding where this kid was coming from. The whole, this is an experience I haven't experienced that everyone else has, and I've missed out. And I know it's pretty awful, but I feel awful not having experienced that. And so the dad recognised that, and also recognised that in his upbringing, he lived in a very strict, controlled environment, not able to explore avenues that he was interested in, or what have you. And so he said, look, are you sure you want to do this? And the 6-year-old said, yes. Are you absolutely sure? Because it's not pleasant. He said, yes, but everyone else has, and I feel left out type of deal. So the father, rightly or wrongly, and I'm not going to judge, said, okay, so roll up your sleeve. And he rolled up the sleeve and he grabbed a bee from the hive by the wings, and he placed it on the arm of his 6-year-old son. And the bee flew off. and the father said, well, obviously you're not meant to be stung today. And he said, and the kid said, okay, grab another one. And so he did, and ultimately the bee stung him and he screamed blue murder, and it was most unpleasant. But once he'd calmed down a bit, he said to his dad, I'm a bit proud of myself. And I'm proud of you too, son, type of deal. And it was just an amazing story, and I'm still not going to judge this father as to whether he did right or wrong. It's one of those really weird conundrum type deals. He did acknowledge that he hated to think what his wife's going to say when she finds out. But at the end of that segment of this podcast, I was thinking, I don't know whether I could do that. I haven't been bitten in probably between 40 and 45 years ago. I had a bee slip in under my foot as I was stepping down, and it stung me on the bottom of the foot, and I can still remember that absolute piercing pain, from 40 years on, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And so I kept on going on my walk, and the podcast continued, and I stopped about 10 minutes before my appointment in Salamanca and grabbed my drink bottle, had a drink, and I'm just putting my drink bottle back into my bag, and I feel this piercing hot pain on my arm. And I think, what is that? And I put my hand on it, and there's this bit sticking out of my arm, like a little bit of stick, and I pull on it, and I look at my finger, and there's this bee sting sitting on my finger. 45 years since I last got stung. I listened to this podcast, and 5 minutes later I got stung. And I thought, actually, that wasn't too bad. I kept walking up the hill towards my appointment, and it just started really burning. And I thought, okay, there happened to be a chemist right there that I ducked into, a pharmacy, drugstore, and I spoke to the pharmacist there and said, look, what do you suggest to whack on that to reduce the pain a bit? And he sold me a couple of things. Anyway, and I shared that with my psychologist, and she said, I think the universe is telling you something. I have no idea what, but the universe is telling you. I mean, how bizarre. It was just such an absolutely bizarre series of events that you wouldn't read about, which is why I'm telling you verbally. Anyway, that's my story for the week. We have a movie to watch.
We do.
Yeah.
And it's not The Nutty Professor.
It is not The Nutty Professor, people. So if you're rapidly trying to work out what the 8 alphanumeric file name is, it has nothing to do with Nutty Professor. No, I don't know why anyone would go down that route unless they were in some way mistaken as to... Or absent-minded.
To the film that we are watching today.
I got a bit absent-minded, I must admit. Thomas, what are we watching today?
We are watching the 1961 black and white comedy, The Absent-Minded Professor.
Why is it in black and white?
It's old.
Okay then. Please tell our dear listener what this gem from 1961 is all about.
I'm just going to read the short one this time.
Okay.
The long one was a lot last week. A bumbling professor invents gravity-defying flubber. Contains tobacco depictions.
So a bumblebee professor.
No.
So I got bees on the brain then. We're watching it on DigniPlug.
Yep.
We're going to watch it, and we're going to come back and talk about it. So we shall catch you on the boing boing side.
Turn to the side that doesn't bounce as much. Or bounces more?
I don't know.
Turn to our side.
Yeah. You mongrel boy.
The side that's not this one.
Yeah. Let's roll the tape. So, what did you think?
A bit disjointed. Very, very much of the here is a bunch of scenes around a theme style of film.
Yep.
Which is okay, but the flow is a little iffy.
Uh-huh. Were you entertained?
I was reasonably entertained.
It was actually what I thought was, and which will mean absolutely nothing to you, but it was your ideal drive-in movie. A family drive-in movie where, but like I say, won't mean anything to you. The flow was certainly affected also by the fact that, hey, I think we've pulled off this cool-looking effect, so we'll keep using it for this scene for a very long length of time, and use it some more, and use it some more, and use it some more. It looked surprisingly impressive, but they really kept going with it as far as the basketball game was concerned. It just
and then we have Hawk bouncing up and down, and we need a separate scene for each of the individual gags that we've worked out for.
Yeah. So in a lot of ways it really was a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
But that trick was used in different ways, but it was the same trick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has a second trick, a flying car.
That's true. Which has varying degrees of impressiveness.
Yeah.
Certainly the landings and takeoffs were done surprisingly well.
Yeah.
But once it was in the air...
how rear do we want this projected?
As for the aeroplanes doing the flyovers or approaches, that was a bit of a letdown. Very much of a letdown. But it was good kiddie fare for the time, I think. And I think that I'd watched it as a kid on television and quite enjoyed it. I certainly know that I've seen it before.
Yeah.
And what else is there to say about it?
Sort of struggling to find anything more to say, to be honest. It was just fine.
Which seems wrong.
Yeah.
In that, it was a perfectly satisfactory, again, delving into the it was what it was kind of thing.
This was the first Disney film to get a sequel. You'd think there would be more to say about it, but not really.
I wonder whether that was because, let's one-up ourselves as far as how impressive we can make it look. I do believe that will be in colour if we choose to continue down that.
If we had access to it, which, again...
Oh, that's right. It was
we don't.
Not on Disney+. Huh.
Yeah.
How bizarre is that? Oh, the other thing that jumped out at me, or jumped up at me, or down at me, the basketball players were not college-aged.
No.
I was trying to suspend disbelief for a whole heap of things, but as far as ages were concerned, the only one that looked remotely convincing as being college-aged was the son of Hawk.
Yeah.
Hawk Jr.
Who doesn't play in the game anyway.
No. Those were full-blown adults, they were.
I think you were saying something about colorization. I don't know if it made the podcast or not. No. It was colorized for the VHS release. Did you see it on VHS?
I have no idea where I saw it.
Great.
Yeah, I cannot. I may have seen it in black and white, but I do think that I possibly saw it in colour.
Memory's funny.
It is. All my memories are in colour. Well, if you've got nothing else to say about that film...
Colorization, interesting actually, because Disney had been producing colour films as far back as 1941.
Yeah, well, that's why I was surprised it was in black and white.
Yeah.
Because I'd been under the impression that their history with colour did go a decent way back. So,
Yeah.
I do wonder
Yeah.
whether that was a technical choice as far as making cables and what have you less obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, having it high contrast rather than, yes, I don't know. Who is to say?
Not us.
No.
Let's say other things in a different segment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting that we move on?
I am, yes.
Well, let's move on then.
The following segment has no title. Thank you.
We will start and conclude with Entuosferatu over on Discord,
Hi, Entuosferatu.
who says, "So, Colin, never made an incredibly expensive international call to ask for help on the Cliffs of Insanity puzzle on King's Quest IV?"
And I interrupted that with now, isn't that a story worth the hearing from Muppets Treasure Island?
Mm-hmm.
I suspect very strongly, but I could be wrong, and it did bring a rush of memories back of computer magazines that in the back would have a bunch of really expensive phone numbers that you could call for different games to get hints on. And I'm wondering whether that was the case as opposed to having a cousin on the other side of the world who has been playing it. But no, I'm very much wondering whether it is the case of the phone number in a magazine that one calls. Because I'd completely forgotten about that. In fact, in last week, I was thinking, how did we? And that reply, that's what it conjured up.
Had to call a hotline.
Yeah. There would be pages and pages and pages in the back of computer magazines with a really expensive phone call, you know, $5 a minute type of deals that you'd ring up and say, I need help with this game.
Well, thank you. You've now paid us a little more in order to give you that information.
Hang on, I'm just flipping through the page. Hurry, it's $5 a minute. Yes, but I have to find the right page here. Where did you say you were up to? Such and such is about to go through such and such. Okay, hang on. Hurry! Does your mother know that you're on the phone? No! All right.
Entuosferatu continues. I feel like I've said this before, but apparently not here. I enjoy Alan Dean Foster's non-novelisations quite a bit. One of my faves is a series that flips the script on the usual alien theme. What if humans get first contact, but we find that we are the scariest, toughest life forms, and everyone else is kinda squishy and weak?
Cool. I hope I didn't come off as condescending or mean-spirited in regard to Alan Dean Foster, because that would be a misrepresentation of how every time a movie novelisation would come out as a kid, I'd get especially excited if it was an Alan Dean Foster, because when I were a lad, that was really the only way for a very long period of time that you could relive a film that you couldn't watch again. And he had a tendency to just nail that feeling of being back in the cinema. And it wasn't necessarily just a he said, she said. He really captured the whole flow of the movie and could write action very well. And so I'm just talking in the past tense, but I don't think he's done a novelisation for a long period of time. He's quite old and not very well, I believe.
Yes, 79 years old now.
Yeah.
And Wikipedia says he's still active.
Okay. I
Right.
know that he had a big legal thing
Yes.
happening with Disney and
Yeah.
naughty Disney.
Well, according to the Internet Speculative Fiction Database,
Mm.
his last novel was in 2024, and there's another one unpublished.
Ah.
As far as franchise... Oh, no, that was a novelisation.
Right.
That was a novelisation of Stuart. What's that about?
I don't know. You're telling the story.
Stuart film. That's Stuart Little. That's not what we're looking for. That's also not what we're looking for. That's unhelpful. Possibly an adaptation of a film that barely saw any release, and so isn't
Anyway, well, that was an
available
interesting rabbit
anywhere.
hole, wasn't it?
great.
Now, isn't that a story worth the hearing?
Yeah. And to us, Ferrati concludes with our one guess for this week,
Oh, okay.
saying, "Cursors, I forgot about the underscore last week. For this week, I would like to go with Beowulf." That's Beowulf.
That's a risky move.
You know, is the title of the film.
Right. Okay, it's the title of the film, yes.
Yeah.
But is it what I would have put?
Well, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
I can tell it's what you would have put, because you did.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Well done, and to Osferatu,
Yeah.
for finally crafting an answer to the difficult conundrum
Yeah.
of a film title.
This week was almost a problem,
Mm-hmm.
and might still be a problem
It
yet.
might still be, yes.
Drop some words. some of these words aren't relevant.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You can forget about them.
Yeah.
Use all the characters, but forget about, like,
I certainly used all 8 characters,
yeah,
but I didn't necessarily reference all of the words in the title.
or even most of the words in the title.
That's right. I boiled it down to its vital essence.
Yeah.
All right. Please have a guess. Have a go.
Yeah. Have a guess.
If you want to make a film suggestion that we really should watch.
Or comment on our comments, or the film that we've watched.
Or say this podcast was really rubbish. Please, let us know.
I am weary.
Yes.
And I am not producing my best work. Yeah, let us know in the places. Do it.
You can find those in the show notes. Hey, I think we'll move on.
Pick a film for next week so we can go to bed.
And
Yes.
for what I suppose is possibly the 199th time, but is probably somewhat less than that, because I cannot confirm how many times we have actually said the following line, "It's your turn,"
It is my turn.
for the 200th episode.
Next week is our 200th episode, which puts me in a bit of a bind.
Yeah,
I thought we should probably put a little effort into choosing
Yeah.
what's going to be our 200th. And then I forgot about it.
Yeah.
And last night I thought, oh, I better do something about that. And so I dug into my old list of my movie database
yeah,
films that I'd like to revisit. And 2 percolated to the surface.
right.
Yeah, and I still can't quite decide which way to go. So I thought I'd make it a joint choice
Uh-huh.
with you not knowing
Yeah,
what ostensibly either of them are. So one of them is a anime
right.
science fiction from 1988,
Okay.
gritty action science fiction from 1988.
Uh-huh.
And the other one is a gritty, not anime science fiction from 2007.
Okay.
Which does give off some Project Hail Mary vibes to it from recollection. It has been a long time since I saw it, but...
Okay.
So, what do you feel like you'd be more interested in tackling next week?
I was pretty sure what the first was.
Yeah.
And I did check to make sure that it was around the right time frame.
Yeah, I think I gave enough
Yeah.
of a hint of an idea of what that might be. And the other one is a gritty sci-fi.
I know I've seen the first.
Right.
Not,
Oh, you
not
have
for
seen
this
the first?
podcast. I think it was during the middle year. The middle year
Oh,
of this
okay.
podcast.
Right. See, I didn't feel like you had seen that one, but I kind of felt that you might have seen the other one.
Right.
Yeah. So what I might do is I shall read the plot synopsis of the other one,
Okay.
because I think you know what the first one is.
Yes.
Okay. So the live action one is a team of international astronauts is sent on a dangerous mission to reignite the dying sun with a nuclear fission bomb.
Mm-hmm. I have seen both of these films.
Right. Okay. The other one, plot synopsis, is...
Which one do I feel I can get more out of?
Okay. A secret military project endangers Neo-Tokyo when it turns a teenage biker gang member into a rampaging psychopath who can only be stopped by his best friend. Which is 2 hours and 4 minutes long. And the other one was 1 hour, 47 minutes long.
That does make the decision a little easier.
I thought I'd bring that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next week we will be watching Sunshine.
Right.
Yeah.
You reckon it's Sunshine, do you?
I do reckon it's
From
Sunshine.
that description, you got Sunshine.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. Sunshine. We are going to be watching the 2007, directed by Danny Boyle,
Yep.
Sunshine. We hope that you can join us on our 200th episode. Do you think it's worthy of 200th episode?
Hard to say.
Yeah, exactly.
say.
We'll find out next week.
I think it'll be interesting at least, which is all one can hope for.
Yeah, it's a film that I'm going to be interested in seeing what I actually think of it, because I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please join us and bring party poppers.
Yeah.
But until then, we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
You have been listening to Cellulose Free. Your hosts were Colin, who produces and edits the show, and Thomas, who makes the artwork and music. Cellulose Free is recorded in the Deranged Cat Studios in scenic Tasmania, Australia. We keep track of our extensive physical media collection through My Movies, which we highly recommend. You can find links to that, as well as other places you can find us in the show notes. Cellulose Free is a Hi Hello production.
That's Stuart Little. That's not what we're looking for. That's also not what we're looking for. That's unhelpful.
This is gripping stuff.
Well, edit around it.
What, you mean cut whole swathes of silence out? I could never do that.
Something about a dog?
Right.
This is...
That sounds like the name of a movie. Something about a dog.
Well, that's all very helpful.
Good. I bet you didn't go to IMDb, did you?
Well,
See, that would have got you it. But no. Got this version, an IMDb version.
Why is it listed as a novelisation if I can't
I don't
find
know.
the novel, the film?
Don't know.
Okay, let's try it that way.
Tell me why.
Possibly an adaptation of a film that barely saw any release and so isn't
Anyway, well,
Isn't
that was an interesting
available
rabbit
anywhere.
hole, wasn't it?
great.
Now, isn't that a story worth the hearing?
Yeah.
I'm stopping.
Yeah.
Yeah, got nothing.
No.
No,
We're done here.
we're done. Go home. Go home.
We're home.